Everyone, this is that's the most pumping and physical now. And as usual, I have beside me my most scintillating popularity.
Interesting.
Okay, Zimbabwe, one of the finest African country that is home to what we call the lithium. What do you know about the lithium? What does my wife know about the lithium? We already know that the continent of Africa has always been taken as a place designated for raw materials. And the whole world has captured that aspect of life for Africa. And it's almost like the whole world is waiting for Africa to just remain like a donkey, always receiving the lowest amount of value for the resources that nature has put in our place. But we are asking ourselves this question: does it mean that the Africans or Africa or the continent of Africa is now getting awoke? Because we are beginning to see a new trend as different African countries begin to spring up with some ideas that were not noticeable then. What is that idea? My little discussion in economics or my little study in economics tells me that commerce is the lifeblood of any nation. And for any nation to prosper, it must engage in what? In profitable commerce and industry. And underneath that topic, we begin to talk about what? Localization of industry and location of industry. Okay, that's just for me to do a kind of memory recall on what is obtainable in the world of economics. Now, the question is, we have the resources in Africa. Why are we not locating industries very close to the resources that we have in Africa? Why must it be that Africa is always pegged to be what? The exploiter or the exporter of just natural crude resources without value addition that will translate into what? Into better payment, into better inflow of finance to the continent. We actually cannot continue as a people this way. And that's why we are so proud to be seeing Zimbabwe. If you are from Zimbabwe, you really need to come on board because we need to see you. You guys are making us proud because according to news reaching us all the way from another African country, Nigeria to be precise, we are so shocked and we are so happy at the same time to discover that Zimbabwe is now saying, no, we are not going to be the rougher of the world. We are not just a place that you will come to, you will scatter the environment, you cause some degradation, and you give us peanuts. No. If you want to exploit lithium, you don't have to take it out as crude as it is. Instead of you doing that, those companies that need to add value to the natural resources, site them here, site them in our country. The economic importance of that means that there will be jobs for people within the location of those resources that have been gifted to Africa by Mother Nature. And also, they will be able to understudy how to add value to the resources that are there. And that will translate into what? Improved balance of trade, improved balance of payments, improved commerce, not the raw materials that doesn't command much value. And would you like to know what lithium is used for? Okay, I'll quickly bring up this particular video here. The lithium we are talking about here is so valuable to the extent that it is what they use in powering the electric cars battery that is now in vogue now, that will majorly take over the use of fossil fuel engine. We have the batteries, the alkaline batteries, whatever kind of batteries, is made from lithium. Our laptop that we are buying expensively from other countries of the world It is the same lithium that is powering their battery. Okay, maybe the world can start producing laptop without battery. It will not work. That means Africa is more needed, and our resources are very what needed. Please take note that when you are conducting your research as an African, always use your sense. You will discover that Africa was not even placed amidst the first 5 countries that have what's it called? Africa was not placed amidst the topmost amidst the topmost countries, the top 5 countries that are what that have the largest deposit of lithium. But let me tell you, we already know that in Africa, there is something that we are suffering from, the lopsidedness of record. And let me tell you, if we sit down, you will discover that a lot of these resources are being stolen out of Africa without proper documentation. I want to say popular documentation. Without proper documentation. So we can never be fooled by whatever data that is available to the world that is being done or created or stored by the same people that knows how these resources are flying out of our continent. We know the fear face. Okay, now I'm seeing some beautiful people joining us today. Before I start ranting here, I have Sharon Hope says, Happy New Year and blessings to you all. Sharon, Happy New Year to you too. So nice having you here. We have, my goodness, Peter Powell, my friend. Fantastic news. You are being exploited by bankers. Is a poison. Oh, is a poison. You're mining. Whoa. Peter Powell, I'm so happy to be seeing you here. We really missed you a lot. Okay. Sharon is saying black batteries. Yes. What's it called?
What's lithium?
Lithium is used for the creation of batteries. Most of these batteries for the electric cars, the mobile phones, laptops, alkaline batteries, the normal batteries. I think I'm displaying them here in this video showing below, by the side. You can just be looking at it while I'm talking. Then Sharon Hope says, maybe I am thinking this artificial intelligence we may not want. Okay. Maybe you should explain what you mean by this statement. Okay, Sharon says, how is the family? Sharon, we are happy that you are asking. The family is doing good, and one of these days we look forward to hosting you in Africa. Okay, so with that being said, what's your take? Okay, let me quickly share our link here in case you want to join this discussion. Let me share our link to the studio. You can join us live. So that we have a great time talking about this. Join us live in this discussion. Okay, this is the link to join us. You can look at the comment section and join us. If you have more information about what we are talking about, it will be good that you come on board. And you can also drop your comments there. Let's start with this. The last time it was Ghana that came up and said, you know what? I'm not going to be allowing my place to just be for the sale of raw materials that do not command high economic prices. So today we are looking at Zimbabwe. It's like something is waking up in Africa. It's like there is a new breed of African air that is coming up. It's like there is a new ozone that is permeating the world, and it's telling Africa, stop hibernating, because Africa has been hibernating for so long. The resources in your domain should not be exploited at a cheaper rate to other countries that do not have such resources, and they now improve on it and bring it back to you in such a way that the prices are far more than how cheaply you have sold your resources to them. So with that being said, African government or African rulers are now beginning to say, you know what, come and be citing your companies in our domain, because that is the only logical thing to do. I own the resources. And if you are in love with my resources that I have, then we are not saying don't buy from us. We are saying come buy from us, but what? Produce. Use the products to produce within our territory, so that we will not have the situation whereby all our African youth, they are running out of the country because there is no employment. There is artificial hunger. Artificial hunger in the sense that no Africans is supposed to be hungry, but because there is no job, there is no businesses that is flourishing here, everyone is just engaging what will continue to keep them to work all the days of their life, mining and all those stuffs, all those raw material kind of jobs. They are not going to be lasting. You have to continue to work like a slave. No, 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 we don't want our people to be like that. What we now want is what? Just like you guys did in China. You cited your industry there, but even better than China is Africa, because majority of the industry you are citing in China, both you, the Western world, and the China world, let me call it that way, you will now come to Africa again to come and it doesn't make sense. Cut the cost, cite the location, localize your industries close to your raw materials. If you really want it to be a fair playing table, locate your industry closer to your source of material. Take it from our bush, put it in your plant, produce it. You know what that will do? It will help our people in the villages to see a fresh breed of life. Money will come into their hands, money will flow into their hands. Our children here, our youth here will also be empowered, they will be employed. They will not be so idle to the point that they will be going to join terrorists across the world. So what do you think about that? If we have okay, we have someone talking here. Oh, Madam Claudia is here. Says, I am trying to get my daughter to join this session. Whoa, that would be lovely. That would be lovely.
Zimbabwe.
Is she in Zimbabwe? Oh my God! See my wife killing mosquitoes. So instead of giving us, okay. Anyway, now, Madam Claudia, is your daughter in Zimbabwe? And let us know. But this is the link for you, Madam Claudia. You can join us, so that's okay. Madam Claudia, please join us live. We want to hear your beautiful voice. Okay, so with that being said, I think if we continue like this in Africa, we are beginning to get it right, because we should not just be menial jobs seekers. Okay, I have Sharon Oaks here, says no African should be experimented on. Like, be okay.
You know, one thing, I think most African leaders are waking up now. The president of Zimbabwe came up with this act. It was released on the 20th of December, that was 2022, and they published a circular on that. They called it what? The Base Minerals Export Control Act. And that act is saying what? Is not allowing the export of any lithium that is bearing ore will not be exported without the permission of the ministry, and without paying export duties and VAT and every other thing. So, and they said that they're doing this because the president has the vision of taking the country, making the country to become an upper middle income economy. Can you imagine that? That means African leaders are actually now thinking of the real benefit to the masses. It's not just that they're going to be having this thing, we have these resources, we have that resources, but who are those that are benefiting from it? The poor masses are not benefiting. So I think for a president to say, I want my economy to move to what? To an upper middle income economy. I want all those masses, all those citizens under me to begin to benefit from it. It should show in their pockets, it should show in their earnings. So you now said, if you're going to be coming to Zimbabwe as an exporter of lithium, and we have different grades of lithiums. We have the lower grades, we have the higher grades. They have their botanical or mechanical names and the other likes of it. So if you are going to be coming to Zimbabwe and you're part of the companies that will be processing this lithium in Zimbabwe, we are going to be exempting you from what? From the tax, from the export tax or VAT. So if you are going to process the lithium to some extent right here in Zimbabwe, that means you're not going to export it in the raw form. But if you're going to export it, you can't do that again without our permission. And you can't do that again without paying us. And they said, the government said it's losing about 1.8 billion in mineral revenue to what? To smuggling and externalization from other countries. The thing, just like my husband said the other time, it's when you look at the top countries that have the highest reserves of lithium in the world, you're not going to even see Zimbabwe there. You're going to be seeing South American Chile. You're going to see Australia coming second. Australia coming second. Argentina third. That's the current. That's lithium reserves by country 2023, and you're going to see China coming fourth. I think which countries fifth? I forgot to note that. Well, we have. Is it Portugal? Well, we have USA and some other countries to come in on the list, but they are not even listing Zimbabwe at all. Well, maybe that's the current one. But as for other research that I went into, I saw that Zimbabwe has the highest reserve of lithium in Africa and is the fifth largest producer in the world. But right now, Zimbabwe is nowhere on that list, as in currently like the one I just researched for 2023. So it's because and you know, the lithium processing has different processing. Before we have the high grades that will really be used for the what's it called, all these Elon Musk type of cars. In
okay, let me burst a bubble. Elon Musk came to Nigeria, my own country, some few months back last year. He wanted to start exporting lithium from Nigeria.
lithium.
Some minerals. Let me just say
Yes.
some minerals. He wanted to start taking some minerals from Nigeria to go and produce his
Cars
Tesla cars.
and the olives.
But Nigerians were so much amazing to me. They refused him. Why? They told him point blank, you are not going to come here, pick our resources and take anywhere. Come and site your company in this country, Nigeria, and produce here so that our youth can get jobs. Let me tell you, if that is actually the way it was newsed around, I think it is only sensible that we say thank you for those that are doing that, because it will help us. Do you know thousands, hundreds of thousands of youths that are going to the university, they are coming out, they are not employed? Do you know how many graduates that have not, engineering graduates that have never fixed a tire? So it is high time that Africans started what? Waking up from their hibernation, from their sleep.
Like the Ghanaian president said that our youth should be taught skills that run modern economies. And I'll always say it's for countries like the Asian tiger. We have Singapore, Taiwan, and the likes. What made them the best now, as in what made them get to that place, their position is that when these multinationals came to their country and they said, what we want you to do is not just that you should come to our country. We want you to train our youth. We want you to train our population. We want you to train our workforce so that they can also be able to do what you're doing. So by the time their workforce was trained, they are also developed. So you will not just be bringing expatriates, you not just be bringing people from other countries every time and think they are the ones to come and be doing the work, or you just be taking siphoning all our resources out of the continent and you think that continent will develop. No, the other day we saw DRC, we saw youths, children there. DRC has cobalt. Cobalt is also used for all these electricals and batteries and lights. But you see youths there that are mining these things. They are paying them. Children. Is it $1 per day, or how much are they paying them? And the children are in abject poverty. They are suffering. They are going through terrible, excruciating situations. And you even see the war in DRC Congo for now. And you see all these things. I think African leaders are waking up. Those that have conscience, those that have integrity are beginning to wake up, because for Zimbabwe to do this, we're so proud of their president. We're so proud of those in his cabinet that they could stand up to this. Like Ghana is blazing the trail. Ghana is saying this is what we want to do now with cocoa. You have to localize your industries right here in Ghana, locate your industry right here in Ghana so that we have the finished chocolate and we can command a very great high value, high price for our product as well and send it to other parts of the world. So I think that's what Zimbabwe is doing. And I think every other country, I want to believe Africans are waking up. We're trying to think of the type of leaders who will be elected. Like Nigeria is going to have an election. I want to believe we're going to be electing forward-thinking leaders that are young at heart, that have the masses. Just like look at Zimbabwe president. One of his goals is that he wants the country to move towards an upper middle income economy. That means he wants the as in income level of everyone there to improve. So when their income level improves, their living standard will improve. But if they are just hearing it on the surface level, we have so reserves. We have how is it benefiting the life of the common man on the street? The common man that has not gotten any roof over his head, the common man that has not gotten food for his children, the common man that has not gotten potable water, there is no good road network. How is it translating to anything? When you're just saying all the figures, our country has this. The other day, where I think it was last week, when I was going through a video concerning DRC Congo, some of the youths were lamenting. They said, we have lots of resources. Why is it that it's not translating to changing our lives? They were packing their bags. There was still what there. They were going. It was so painful. This thing is not translating to benefit those that are there. And yet there are some other persons. Theirs is to live where they are, to come to other people's domain, to smuggle all their resources away, and yet still use their media to say these are the poor countries, these are the third world countries,
we call such persons Ajibole.
Ole, Ajibole, Ole, tí ò ní as in
Ole means thieves. It's only thieves that will leave their own house, go to another house, go to another continent, go to another country to steal from them. And at the end of the day, you now begin to call those people in those continents that you are stealing from, you call them
demeaning names,
poor, and you call them fantastically corrupt.
And you use your media to paint them the way you want them to be painted. Like Zimbabwe now, by the time they start working on this, their lithium, you're going to see they're going to come up on the ladder and it's going to be good. Once it's good for one country in Africa, it will be good for the other countries. And I think that is what we should do. We should really, really work together to see that we achieve in Africa at this time. And I want to thank the Zimbabwe president
and his cabinet.
And yes, for this good work.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to seeing more African countries coming up with things like this. You're most welcome, sir.
Dr. Ojo is in the building.
How are you guys doing? Good to hear you guys.
Fine, thank you.
Happy weekend.
Yes, sir. Same to you. Before you join up, we're talking about this Zimbabwe issue with regards to the way they are trying to take ownership of their shop with respect to lithium, which is used in the production of numerous batteries, cell phone batteries, electric cars, laptops, several gadgets that we are talking about are across the globe. What is your take on that, please?
I mean, they are doing I think they are doing what is best for them, which is good. And I'm glad that Africa and African nations and countries are waking up to start doing things a certain way, not just looking at getting money from the West and the likes of it, but looking at things that will benefit them in the long term. So I think that's good. It's been a long time that they failed to get to that realization, but now if they are getting it right and getting that realization now and making that right decision, I think it's good.
Okay, that exactly what we're talking about. That is like something is waking up the African rulers. Something is waking them up so that they can now move from the level of being a ruler to a leader, because had it been that we have leaders in this continent of Africa all these years, I don't think we should be up to now before we start knowing that, oh, we should not be dealing in just raw materials, whereas where the money is, where the in Nigeria we call it pepper, where the pepper is, where the ego is, where the kudi is, where the cash is actually in what refined products, not the raw materials. And I see that as a very fascinating way to go. And if each African countries can have themselves their cabinet, their rulers, or those that are very close to becoming a leader in character, they can begin to say, oh, let's see how we can turn around the lives of our citizens. Let's see how we can improve the life of our citizens one way or the other, using these natural resources, not just to be selling it. Because if you are just all about selling it in raw, that's where the corruption will come. But when you are about getting it processed so that your youth can be engaged and the likes, you now see, oh, your economy can easily be transformed to a better standard, and you can now begin to stand amidst the committee of nations with your shoulder high, and you can talk sense, and you can also develop your military, develop your territory, develop your what do they call it, territorial integrity, and also monitor what is going on. So with that being said, Dr. Ojo, I ask you this straight question. If you have one thing to change in Africa, what would that be?
Say your question again.
If you have one thing to change in Africa, what would that be?
If I have one thing to change in Africa, I will change the people that are in charge right now.
Correct.
Yeah, the people that are in charge right now, I think, yeah, not just them, like a lot of people that are there right now. I think I will. I don't know if it's possible to change, because change is permanent, and that's one thing that is really hard to do. But I think I will try to change their mindset, their paradigm, their mentality, their orientation, education. Every of those need to be changed, need to be revamped, and be corrected. That's so to say, because it might be out of a lot of stuff, the hardship and bad and negative experiences of the past that have kind of affected the way some of these guys think, and those need to be corrected. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good one. I also concur with you, because someone was cracking a joke, but that joke made sense. Says, if you take the people that are in Nigeria presently, using Nigeria as an example, since we are the giant of Africa, says if you move the people that are in Nigeria presently and you take them to America and bring those in America to Nigeria under 1 year, America will change to Africa. We change to Nigeria. Nigeria will change to America. Why? Because resources can be there, but right thinking men actually make good use of resources. Because I was also discussing with someone, she was telling me, oh, I needed money for, if I see money, I can do business, big stuff. I was like, no, it's not from money you start. You start from idea. It is ideas that rule the world. It is ideas that call the finance to come in. It is idea that opens the door for inflow. It is idea that makes you know that you don't need to you don't need to what to maximize waste. You need to minimize waste. You need to minimize cost. The same thing that is happening to Africans now is like there is one angel that just opened the curtain in heaven and just giving a knock on the head of African leaders, and it's removing debris from there. That start thinking right. Don't think about just taking Africa's money to the same people that are colonized you for years, donkey years. Start doing what? Thinking of how you can turn mango, not to mango raw materials, how to turn mango to mango juice. This is very, very easy. We have to turn pineapple that are rusting in the villages, how to turn it to pineapple juice.
I will go all over the world.
There was a particular president in Nigeria, if I can permit me to use Nigeria as an example. There was a particular president in Nigeria that we can never forget about him. No matter how people say, oh, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, we cannot forget some things about him. And that's one person called Obasanjo. Olusegun Obasanjo is one president that when he came in, numerous industries that would have been open for donkey years in Nigeria started coming up. That was where we have a company like Chivita. You can run check on this. That was where we have companies like Chivita coming up, you know, started processing the fruits that we have in juice and the likes. You know, it was during his tenure. That was when we have access to mobile phones. Before, it is only either the king in your village that we have phone. Doesn't really make sense. That means all we just need is one right person occupying the right place and
the right thing.
With the right team. If there is anything that is needed to grow Africa, it's just one right head looking for the right cabinet of people to help him in administering this, handling this and that. And you know, he just supervises and interacts with them. Before you know it, he will become wiser. So that is just it. We have some persons that are joining up today. Let's quickly recognize them. Jim Barak says resources from the rich, labor for the poor nations, all for the benefit of democracy, except China. Okay. Looking good, Dr. Joe. Somebody is stripping for you, Dr. Joe.
Oh, Jim Barak, thank you so much.
Hey, see game man.
Why
Yes.
is he not online? Why are you not on the platform?
He should be joining us. I posted the link there for him to join us. Game man says that's a long sentence. I think she was talking about this when I put Dr. Joe on the what's it called on the spot. Okay, Madam Claudia says it's time that African leaders start waking up from their sleep. Yes, they've not only slept, they've overslept. But I thank God that at least that angel is doing a very good job of knocking their head. Wake up and think for your people. So we are so glad that they are.
So I have from my research, right?
Yeah.
You know, as doctors, that's what we do. We do research. So from my research, right? You know, I was looking at Saudi Arabia. You see how powerful and strong and beautiful that place. Like of recent, like last week, I had one of my friends that just got back from Saudi Arabia and was telling the story of how beautiful that place is. Like, yeah, it's really, really gorgeous, beautiful, and everything's under control, organized and everything. And then I was researching, I was looking at, how did they gain that world-class, you know, recognition, power, you know, wealth and all of those. I realized that it's not without the efforts and contribution of the United States, right? So look at in search of crude oil all over the world, and when US saw that they have so much oil around that place, you know, and they went there, you know, because that's what we do. We always go around and see where every good thing is, right? Because it's not everybody that knows the value of what they have, and then it's just natural law of nature. If you don't know the value of what you have, you're gonna lose it anyway. So it's natural, right? So and then they went there, but the thing I now saw is that they have right thinking, good thinking leadership, because they were able to strike some deal. They had some great negotiating skill and power. They were able to strike some deal with the US that has helped that country, that part of the world, to gain the recognition and wealth and popularity that they have gained over the many years, right? Now, from that moment, from that time, over a century ago, since 1933, US presence has always been there. At least we have 5,000 to 10,000 troops on ground every time, providing security for that nation, right? And then they now becoming the biggest and the largest buyers of weapons from the United States, whereas they are also selling all their crude oils and their fossil fuel and energy and everything to the rest of the world in US dollar. What a wonderful negotiation, what a wonderful partnership agreement that helped both nations to become very, very, very strong. And when the US, when the world currency was being taken away from gold to US dollar, it was made possible because of the support from the Saudi Arabia, because they agreed to sell their crude oil to the rest of the world in US dollar, which helped the US dollar to gain more dominance and more power, and and then they are buying the weapons from the US, which US is also there to protect them. You see what I'm saying? So no nation on earth can harass them. No nation on earth can go there to steal their crude oil, right? Because we have the presence of the US there providing security and stuff like that. And at the same time, they are spending so much money buying those weapons from the US. So that's what I'm trying to explain there is that
Dr. Ojo,
Africa.
Dr. Ojo, before you continue, do you know what that country just did? Just occurred to me now that, there's an adage in Africa, ole laughing surely. We use teeth to protect
Stolen items.
to protect your properties from being stolen. I think what they just did was to look at who is the major thief in the world that can give us problem. Oh yeah, come and watch over this. So every lesser thief will back out when they see a senior thief that is actually the security.
Anyway, so I mean that's how you see it anyway. But from the business angle, as a doctor of business administration, we see it as a business strategy. We see it as partnership agreement.
Okay.
That is kind of a win-win strategy. We call it a win-win strategy. It benefits your country, at the same time it benefits my country. Not for you to enslave me, or not for me to just dash you my resources that I'm blessed by God with. And so I'm saying, so it kind of bring about the mentality of Esau and Jacob. You see what I'm saying? So I think African nation I'm glad that they are changing, they are waking up, but they need to wake up more. And not just the leadership, not just the rulers, but everybody need to get to that level of consciousness and awareness to understand the mindset of Jacob compared to the mindset of Esau. Do you just want a quick and cheap way out that you are going to eventually pay for hardly? Or do you want to endure the pain and hardship while you get a lasting solution, lasting result, something that will give you peace and rest of mind in many years to come? Not just for you, but for your generation. This is a different level of thinking. So that's what the Saudi did over there, what they did around that time, that benefited them to the future. Now, it's very, very difficult now to just push them aside. It's difficult for the US to pull out. And even if they are pulling out over the year, I'm pretty sure they must have strengthened their own local and indigenous military might and stuff like that. Plus, they bought those weapons, those high, a lot of weapon already that is already on ground with them, and they must have been trained pretty much on how to use it. And they don't even intermarry, so they remain their brotherhood line is super strong. You cannot become a citizen. You cannot become a citizen no matter what. If you are not from there, you are not from there. They either marry their brothers and siblings than to intermarry with other people. So the brotherhood, their DNA is super strong, and they are super focused and very, 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 have that close relationship. So it's difficult for enemy or for anybody to break into that bond the way they structure it. So that's an example of a country or few of the countries that African can learn from. You don't have to do it exactly the same way, but you can learn from. You can look at, what do you need to do? How do you gain that negotiation skill? How do you go about that partnership that can benefit, not just that kind of partnership that will benefit the country, the continent of Africa in the long run.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Ojo. Tonight, we are bringing in someone that will amaze you. And this is someone that when his name is mentioned in the film industry in Nigeria, Nigerian Nollywood, everybody knows that one of the king has arrived. And his name is Mr. Femi Duro. Mr. Femi Duro Jaye is one.
Hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Okay.
Is it up next?
You cannot see me. The light just gone off.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, maybe you can see me now. It's still dark.
That's Nigeria on the global map there for you. So Mr. Femi Duro Jaye here is going to listen up to part of the discussion, because someone like him also have a role to play in affecting some of the changes, or in effecting some of the changes that is needed in the continent, starting from Nigeria, that happens to be part of the global market that we are talking about here. He is in the film industry, and with their film, they can pass out
the audio is very low.
They can, with his participation in the film industry, he can pass out real message to the right people at the right places, and also influence the youth into proper thinking. And one of the reasons why we are having him here, because he is a strong supporter of the Cetros Foundation. He gave us a whole lot of support for our youth, to the extent of training them. He was at our hub to offer standardized training in the art of filmmaking without collecting a dime from the foundation. So we really, really appreciate him for this. So I wanted to say, Dr. Duro Jaye, Mr. Femi Duro Jaye, what we are talking about today is the situation of this reawakening spirit in the continent of Africa. The people of Zimbabwe stood out of the box to say that no, they are not going to be allowing their mineral resources,
lithium,
specifically mentioned here, the lithium, which is used in the production of batteries for the electric cars, for cell phones, for laptops and the likes. They're not going to allow the Western world to keep coming in to just take the raw materials like that and export, taking it out there, and only to be selling at higher price the finished product. But instead, they should come and site their industry in Zimbabwe to be creating jobs opportunity, to be improving on the finished products, so that the lives of an average Zimbabweans, I think it's Zimbabweans, can be what? Their standard of living can be lifted to a respectable level. So what is your take on this, sir? How do you see this development?
Well, to me, is a step in the right direction. Africa needs to keep its resources and maximize its potentials. When the factories are set up here, of course, it will create employment. Of course, it will generate tax for the government, so that the government can still do much for the people. You know, nothing is wrong. I mean, all over the world now, there are American companies that have set up shop in China. They make their products in China. So nothing stops a country that is making cell phones, that is making batteries, you know, especially these batteries for, what's it called, these Elon Musk cars, you know, all these. You know, nothing stops them from setting up the factory here. Even the labor is cheap. The labor is even cheaper here, you know. But until we say this is what we want, the Western world will continue to do what they like. So I think I support the people of Zimbabwe. I support the government of Zimbabwe for taking this decision. Is the right thing to do, and I applaud them.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for that contribution. That was very, very brilliant as expected. But let me quickly read some comment from some persons here. We have Sharon who says, what about the Chinese? Let me tell you, Chinese also have some some level of what's it called? Lithium.
They are the fourth largest producer in the world. They have about 1.5 million tons
of lithium.
Yes.
But now let me shock you. I want to believe that I want to believe that Mr. Femi Durojaye is listening to this. Do you know that Nigeria also have this lithium we are talking about? And if we have this lithium that we are talking about, it is only in the interest of Africans and a big brother like Nigeria to ensure that these are not taken out away from this continent like the pebbles that are thrown around. And they should ensure that what the Zimbabwean president has done is exactly what Nigeria is also doing, to ensure that if you want these materials, if you want these resources, we have it. Come and use it to produce.
No, but as Nigeria
within the continent,
Nigeria now signed a document with China that they should help them with this recent electronic rail, and they will have a easy access of exploration of their natural resources. I think I read something like that, but I stand to be corrected. And I read online to where people came up and said Nigerian government should really come up and not just allow China just to be taking away the lithium like that, because I think it was discovered in 2019 in Nigeria in some states, Plateau, Ekiti, Oyo, and Nasarawa, some states, Kogi. They were discovered there, just like the raw form. You know, lithium has different grades. The raw form was discovered in Nigeria, and they said it will still take some time for it to get to the higher grades and the likes. But people were really shouting out that for what is discovered, Nigerian government should come up with a policy that will ensure that these people are not just smuggling these resources away like that, and they're getting away with it. Whereas if they can sign an agreement, just like Dr. Ojo said, that this is this, if you can come and be citing your industries here, and you'll be as in processing this to an extent here, you create job for our citizens, you pay tax, and you do some every other things, it's going to benefit our economy. But I don't know what Nigeria government has signed with China. I'm in Nigeria, so I have to mind my mouth. So so in Nigeria, you just have to know.
But let me come in.
No, but you just have to be very wise and know what you're saying.
But let me come in. In the year 2000, and I think I did my youth service 2006, 2007. I think so. Yeah. I carried out the research. This one was not just mouth research. I even wrote a book about it, because I was posted to the northern part of Nigeria. So this particular place where this lithium was is being mentioned that they discovered.
And precious too.
I carried out the research. I went to nooks and crannies of Nasarawa State. I discovered numerous natural resources that were big precious stones that children were using to stone each other. And I put my hands on my head, and I was weeping. I gathered all this information. I went with one Chinko camera then, very, very Chinko camera. I took the pictures of those resources, and I was crying when I saw how the villagers were being made to dig their own land, dig the pit, bring out these
and give it
materials and give it to foreigners at so cheap a ridiculous amount. And I began to write a little bit. The book was not a very big book. I began to write in a hurry a little bit of what I can document, these resources, and I did the presentation then during my youth service. And that made me to visit the governor's office and the likes, and some of the kings became my friend. I said, this is natural. I never even knew that today I'll be having a foundation, but I just know that something is pushing me that my country cannot be like this. My country cannot be like this. I saw cashew wasting everywhere, and I was telling them, you can invite people that will set up companies here. Where I stayed, those that are that knows this Nasarawa very place very well. I stayed in Shabu, like a 5-minute drive to Lafia, the capital of Nasarawa, and I tell you, was Lafia yes now I think Nasarawa Lafia, yeah, and I tell you, they hardly take light there. Once there is light outage, you just count 5. Before 5, they'll bring this. I said, this is where they should set up companies and be taking all these fruits and be processing it there. All these natural resources that you guys have there, they should set up industries here. I tell you, I've forgotten the names of most of the resources I saw. There was one resource, there was one natural resources there that I discovered. By the time I was finding out what it's used for, it is used for submarine. I was crying profusely, but I did my presentation, I did my book, and I sold the book to them. I gave the book to the local government for distribution and the likes. I want to believe that they will be able to do something, but I promised myself, I promised them, I told them I will return, because I need to go back to Lagos, where I'm from. I need to go back and work, that I will return and do a proper documentary about because the title of the book was Nasarawa, the home of hidden treasures. That I will do a proper documentary by the time I'm able to get sophisticated cameras and crew members to do detailed stuff. Only for the place now, the northern part, we know what is happening there. There is terrorism going on there. So I could not fulfill that promise till now. But I still look forward to when there will be peace and calm there, because I shall return there, especially now that I have a foundation that is helping to train the African youth in different crafts. I love, because they were so loving. Let me tell you, the northern part of Nigeria, they were so loving. They reach. We open their gates for you to have direct access to them. So what are we talking about? These resources are littering Africa. In short, if I'm not saying the whole of Africa, at least I know the one of Nigeria. They are littering Nigeria, but they have been taken away cheaply by one small human body, Chinko, that will go. They will not be in the city. They will go to those villages and sit with them. Sometimes they even marry some of the locals just to gain access to them. That's why when Dr. Ojo was talking about that particular Saudi Arabia, no, let me tell you, even in what's it called, Dubai, they don't allow their children to marry outsider,
because they know that that's how they will get into them.
They will impregnate some of these girls, they will marry them, and from there they begin to, before you know it, our resources are moving out of the continent, and we do not, because some of us do not take time to know what is used for, or some of the locals, when they pay them cheap,
very cheap, they
just sell it out for free. It has got to stop. So now that we have somebody in the film industry with us, sir, these are the kind of films that would like to partner with you through our foundation, or you as a person, you can write just 10 minutes of 10 minutes skit and the likes that can tell these stories, because we have to just get the news out. We have to sensitize people.
Is their media they are using.
So Dr. Ojo, what do you say to this?
So now, like I said, right, we have the African nations, countries have to be long-term focused. Over the years, over the century, what has affected them is because of too much trust, too much generosity and hospitality, You know, they just rely so much on the West and the rest of the world. They forget to watch their shoulder and their back and stuff like that. And because the majority of the people that are ruled us are short-sighted, they are not the visionary leaders that they're supposed to be. They just want the immediate solution. They just want that cash. They just want that money. They just want somebody to help them solve their problem. And those are wrong perspective and wrong idea. Nobody build a nation for nobody. You have to build it by yourself, right? So now that all these natural resources are being discovered in Africa, right? And now that we know that, like Democratic Republic of Congo have up to about 70% of cobalt supply to the world. Nigeria has discovered their lithium in 2019, right?
Yeah.
They were able to mine about 50 tons or stuff like that. And then we also know that the price of lithium is on the rise now, because the world is embracing the electric car technology and all of those, right? So we are looking at about 60,000 per tons for lithium, compared to when it used to be about 5,000 per tons, right? So, and then there's a projection and forecast that lithium is now about to replace the fossil fuel. It's not replacing it, but it's looking like it's going to be the energy and the fuel of the future. So what is my advice to Africa? What's my advice to African country and leaders and rulers, or whatever you call them, is that now is not the time to start looking at the money. Now is not the time to start negotiating to get the money. Now is the time to invest on research and development. Now is the time to actually know what location has those raw material and in what quantity, right? So if you are doing the partnership and negotiation, it is to the advantage of you at least identifying where you have those and how much do you have there, and then how do you preserve and safeguard there in terms of security and all of those. And then as that is going on, then there should now be plans, right? There should be now committee and plans in place on what do you want to do with it to benefit the country where it is found and the people in that country, not just for temporary, but for a long time. And that's when the concept and the strategy of like building the plant, inviting the foreign investor to come and invest and all of those in the country, that's when it comes in. Now they shouldn't even be talking about that right now. And another mistake that they always do make in that part of the world is, once they discover one invention or one resources and stuff like that, they tend to just forget about everything else, dump everything else, and everybody now shift focus to that one thing. That is a wrong answer, because cobalt and lithium seems to be the fuel of the future does not mean crude oil is going to be forgotten. They are till 1,000 years time, if this world and this planet still remains, there will still be a demand. There will still be a huge demand for crude oil. The only reason, one of the major reasons why there is a high demand for cobalt and lithium now more than ever before, that is bringing about the spike and rising hike in the price, is because of the invention of electric cars. And what's the reason behind that? The reason behind that, if I'm very correct, is just because the United States is trying to shift from the dependency on the crude oil from other parts of the world to now be a producer of something to replace that the rest of the world can actually depend on them. Probably we don't want to depend on Saudi again and some of these oil producing countries, because there's just too much dependency on them, and they've empowered and enriched themselves through that source. So all these ideas are coming out, but that does not mean crude oil is going away and we won't need it again. No. So the thinking, that's what I'm talking about, that shift in thinking, shift in mindset, shift in paradigm from the way it is now with the African rulers to such that will be strategic enough to benefit them, not just in the short time, but in the long time. So demand for research and development and those institutions that can help identify those places where those resources are, and let's know what quantity are they and how do we preserve, safeguard, and harness them to benefit the nation. And that's why I cited the example of Saudi, what they did back then.
Okay, thank you so very much. While you were talking, okay, I think Mr. Femi has something to say.
Okay. When we talk about underdevelopment, a major factor is the absence of responsible political leadership. When there is the right political leadership, a lot of things will fall into place. I listened to the doctor. He said we have to form committees. You need to have a government in place that is a thinking government. That is why elections are important. When you vote the right political leadership, everything doctor is saying will come to pass. What we have in this country today is that we have people who are fundamentalists in power. We have people who are either terrorists themselves or terrorist sympathizers in power. So how can you lead a country to be thinking in the direction that the doctor is talking about? It's impossible. Political leadership is very, very important in every life of a nation. Why is the United States the greatest country in the world? Political leadership. It's just political leadership. Here, if you have a government, unfortunately, when General Olusegun Obasanjo was president, he was only president for 8 years. Imagine if you had continued, like what is happening in China. When they had a good man, they let the person continue. Suppose Olusegun Obasanjo has continued as president of Nigeria, he will have gone very, very far. The current political dispensation, the current political leadership has led Nigeria backwards for another 30 years. So they are not even talking about what doctor is talking about. They are more interested in stealing. They are more interested in nepotism. So there's no forward movement. There's no forward thinking. You understand? What my brother Dayo said about making films of these things. We have had one before that is Blood Diamonds. When they talked about Liberia, Sierra Leone, what was happening there. Yes, we can do the same thing. But I tell you, if you go back to that community now in Nasarawa, you better go there surreptitiously. Go there undercover. Don't let them know you have come to check back what is happening to those resources, because you'll be surprised with the uptick in corruption that even the local chiefs will be involved in pilfering the same resources and selling. We have lost this country. Corruption has now taken a free reign. So everybody is involved in it. The whole political structure is corrupt. So if you want to go back to that village, you'll be surprised that those who are looting the resources of their people are actually the chiefs themselves. Because it's free for all now. Everybody in government, they are just looking for what they can steal. So it will take, this year is another chance for us to get it right, to elect the right kind of people to lead this country. If we don't elect the right kind of people, I'm sorry, in the next 20 years, we'll still be having the same conversation. Thank you.
Wow.
And I think
I want to make a quick comment. So okay. I like what the film the movie specialist professional Mr. Femi said, and I think that is why this foundation is here today. That's why we're having this platform, this educative platform, right? Because you see that leadership, that the right political leadership you have mentioned, that's one very key point that actually captured my attention, and I cannot just but say this quickly. Now, we already know that this rulership, political, whatever that we have now, and for many years, they've already failed. They failed themselves, they failed us. And I'm not really good at pointing fingers, right? I don't really care about that, right? For many reasons, right? But what I noticed is that what I have noted is that with my exposure and a lot several years of experience and exposure to many parts of the world is that you can't give what you don't have. That's why I can't really blame them so much. You can't give what you don't have, right? And what is passed down to you is only what you have. And that's what you are going to use. So if corruption was passed down to you, guess what? You can't do better. You can't function better. You need a higher level of intelligence to actually be able to function better if you are brought up in that kind of environment with that kind of crazy, corrupt and practices and system, right? You can't really do anything other than that, because that's all you know from birth, from growing up, from going to school and all of those, right? So that's why I don't really take pride, or I'm not really interested in pointing finger and blaming them, right? But how do we now fix this, right? And that's why we've been talking on this platform about the way to change Africa is by changing myself, by changing you, by changing individuals, changing themselves. Because when we embark on that journey of changing Africa by changing ourselves, now we can start with 1 or 2 or 3, and the number just grow. And tomorrow, if one of us or one of the people that have been changed, right, through this kind of initiative, now get to that position, we expect them to do better. You see what I'm saying? Because we can keep talking about this failed leadership. I can promise you that they can't do any magic or any miracle, because they can't give what they don't have. You see what I'm saying? So now when you talk about Obasanjo, right, you can't continue because we are practicing democracy system of government. So he has to leave after 2 terms. I know that time that he actually made an attempt to do 3rd time and stuff like that, right? But he's not going to be allowed, because the rest of the world are watching, and they're going to definitely say no to that, right? Because the system you have adopted is democracy, and after 2 times you have to leave. You see what I'm saying? But within that 2 times, what did you do? What did you do to make sure that there is a continuation of the good job that you have done, that is not going to take the nation backward? You see what I'm saying? Did you do the proper mentorship? Did you do the things did you put structures in place that is not corrupt? Or did you actually put a corrupt system in place that even get things worse? That's the question to answer, right? And that's why I always want to encourage Africa that they need to wake up more, because before democracy, right, there was a system of government that Africa was practicing that was really good. That helped them a lot, and helped them gain control of the land and a lot of places that they have now that is called Africa, even Nigeria and the rest of it, right? They abandoned what was given to them by the universe, by God, to embrace what is not there, that they didn't have any clue about how it was started, how it was for, how much knowledge do they have about what they were given. You see what I'm saying? So that's their fault, right? That's their fault. And that's why I was referencing Saudi Arabia and the level of thinking and their mindset that has not changed till tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? When a nation just focus on just copying anything good and bad, it's not going to progress. That's the problem with most of the African countries. You see what I'm saying? So they left their own system of government that was working good for them, that they understand, they have deep knowledge about it, that was working, that is free of corruption. Because you can in those days you can't steal. They already know you. There's no way you are going to hide. There's no way you're going to be corrupt like that and get away with it. That was not their system. It's not going to fly. But they abandoned it, embraced what they did not have. They didn't sit down to actually look into it and think about it properly. They just give it to them and they just embrace it and just collect it. And now they are struggling with it because you don't know the inside and out of it. So those are the things that's how they got it wrong. Now that they already got in that mess now, right? How do we fix it? Is why this foundation is here now, right? Changing Africa by changing our individual self instead of pointing the finger. It's because there's no all the political parties and candidates all over Africa. I can tell you that all of them are all corrupt. and they can't give what they don't have. And I have not seen any of them that actually really have like something really substantial. You see what I'm saying? They're only gonna try, and they're gonna be frustrated by their fellow candidate that did not win and stuff like that, right? So, but on this platform, right, we are looking for youth, especially those that are neglected and abandoned, the poor one, right? Those that when they receive that grace and that blessing, it will impact them. They will feel it, they will know it, their life will be changed to the point that they will not be able to go back again, right? That's what we do on this platform. That's what the job that we are doing here, that we need other people to support us, to encourage us, so that when those youths, when they are changed and transformed, right, they are the only hope that Africa has. If we give them the necessary exposure, those of us that we have opportunity to know the right thing, and that we're trying to do the right thing, if we give those youth those encouragement and those opportunity and those exposure and the training in those crafts, guess what? The sky is just the starting point for them. And that's only when we can talk about hope for that continent. Otherwise, these people, they won't even know when they will sign the document, when they will sell the cobalt and the lithium. They won't even know.
Okay, Dr. Joe, thank you so very much.
I would like to say something. Say something.
Okay.
You mentioned something that always bothers me when we talk about political leadership of a country. And you said earlier that you do not like pointing fingers. I like to point out that one of the civic responsibilities of a citizen is to point fingers. Is to say that you are minister, you are not doing well. You that you are president, you are not doing well. We need to wake up our youths to question their political leadership. It is their civic responsibility to do so. An election is coming. We are going to elect another set of political leaders. If they do not do well, they must learn to point those fingers. They cannot go to sleep until the next 4 years. You cannot create change that way. Political leadership is one. The people themselves is two. If political leadership is not performing, it is the responsibility, it's the civic responsibility of the citizens to stand up and point fingers.
Those are the citizens that have.
That's one. I want to make that point very clear. Now, on the issue of democracy, right? Well, we have a different view about democracy. I'm a very pragmatic person, right? Democracy must serve the interest of the people. If it does not serve the interests and the progress and the development of the people, then we have to jettison that democracy. Democracy is man-made. It's not divine. And therefore, it has faults. It's not a perfect thing. Now, in China, they are practicing some form of democracy. They maintain the leader they got. Are they progressing? That is a question that is important. That is very important. We can modify our current democracy to fit into our challenges. We know that we have poor political leadership. We know it. And therefore, if Providence provides us with a leader that is visionary, nothing should stop us. The West cannot dictate to us the kind of democracy we should practice. We can modify that democracy to keep a visionary leader in office for so long as is useful. Democracy itself is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. If that means to an end does not work, we can modify it. Democracy is something we borrowed from the West. We have our own system of government. And therefore, if that democracy does not serve us as we have taken it from the West, then let's modify it. I do not enjoy when you say that, Menini, that after 2 terms, it should go. It's not written in stone. After 2 terms, if you look at the climate, and this is the best person we have had for about 20, 30 years, we keep him. We modify democracy. We keep him. The heavens will not fall. Now, I made a very practical example, and I said, imagine if we have kept Olusegun Obasanjo to this time, how will Nigeria be? I just want us to imagine, so that we do not think that democracy is all in all. No, it's a means to an end. It can be modified. It can be adjusted to fit our needs. That's what I wanted to point out, Doctor. And I want to say, finally, on this issue of Olusegun Obasanjo, he has done his best. Wow. He has given us even this DSM network that we are using. He has set up structures of anti-corruption. He did what he could do in 8 years. I knew how this country was before he came in, and I know how the country was when he left. You do not, Doctor said something that I should have put some things in place. What he needed to put in place are in place. They are already in place. But it is left for the government that inherited government to do the right thing and continue. It was not continued.
Let me come in here.
Where are the youth to take over from him? That's my question.
Mr. Femi, I
was a youth when he was in office. I was a youth when he's office, right? I can tell you, I benefited from the GSM, but that's all about it. Where are the youth that he put in office to carry on the legacy? That's where the problem is.
Okay, Dr. Ojo, let me come in. Mr. Femi, I wouldn't know whether I want to believe you have not joined when I even talked about Olusegun Obasanjo. To me, that is one outstanding president Nigeria ever had.
I agree with you, absolutely. I was not here when you started with him.
He did outstandingly well. And let me tell you, even when I was saying that he did outstandingly well, some of his policy affected what I was doing at that time, but I know that it was for the common good. When Obasanjo came to power, I was in Lawansin. There is a place in Lawansin that everybody that is in Lagos, Nigeria knows. That's where imported second-hand freezers, fridge, and the likes are being sold. I was already in that business. I was controlling, as a secondary school leaver, I was controlling $500,000 then. But he came in and he banned that business. I now sat down as somebody that is open-minded. Why will this guy do this? I look at his policy, okay, because he doesn't want Nigeria to be a dumping ground. He wanted the production of new freezers to be done, assembled in Nigeria. And that was what exactly was going on. Numerous companies started producing brand new freezer. That was the period that what was the name of this popular people?
Tamakul.
Not even
LG,
Tamakul
okay.
was also doing stuff. That was the period that Tamakul, LG, so many other names that you do not know started springing up, and people were compelled to start trying out those brand new products. I said, okay, fine. You have only made it easier for me. Now it's time for me to go into the university. I just left the business. But before I left the business, he introduced something else, which was GSM, mobile phone. Before, in a whole street, you might not have one person that has a mobile phone. Now, when he introduced that, all I just did was to convert my business from the freezer business, my money from the freezer business into mobile phone. And I was shocked the kind of profit I was making then. I looked at it, I said, no, this guy hurt me in one way, but it's for the common good. But look at what he has brought. I was part of those that were able to use the expensive MTN and the likes, and I turned it into business, and I made money from it before going back to school. So what am I talking about? And even when I conducted the research, I think I uploaded it on this channel. I went to his library. When I went to Olusegun Obasanjo's library, I was shedding tears. That why are people painting wrong thing about this man. When I saw everything that he did in that presidential library, I want to believe all our subscribers, you are aware of this. When I was showing, when we went to Abeokuta to go and empower some indigent African youth there, I went to his library and I showed it to every one of us here. I saw, because they did not allow us to cover, you cannot use camera to cover some things. When I saw the proper documentary of everything that happened in Nigeria, I said, my goodness, if there is any president that we should be happy we ever had in this country, is this man. And you know what? The Western world will come. I'm always painting. The only thing they will always be painting him is corrupt. Where is the corruption? And one thing I love about him is that he faces them immediately. That is not somebody that you can joke with. So we need leaders like that will come. They know what they want to do. Because his behavior was just like that of Kigame. You cannot tell Kigame rubbish and you will go free. He will tell you point blank. Kigame told the Western world that you cannot come to Africa and bully us. So we need leaders that are pragmatic, leaders that are thinking aright, leaders that have the best interest at heart. But now let's leave that, because we are looking at this leadership at a far distance. But sir, I want to tell you the angle Dr. Ojo is coming from is not that we should not point fingers. He is just saying that we should not only point fingers. While we are identifying the wrong that they are doing, we as individuals, we as normal human being, not a local government chairman, not a governor, not a president, not in any cabinet, in our own pace, we should see how we can change the narrative. By what? Focusing on those that they still have some level of thinking that can be altered for good. Who are those? They are the largest fragment of our population, called the youth. And that is why we are at this foundation, we begin to look forward. Now, we can't just be complaining. We need to start working on our youth, to start mentoring them in the right path. That is why we go to the nooks and the crannies of this country, and some other African countries are working with us day by day now on how to do what? To bring out this youth from this predicament so that we can work on their mental, Madam Olaomi mentioned something, mental slavery, so that we can work on their mental capacity, remove that poison of always taking what the West is giving us, hook, line, and sink line. And just as if you've been on, just as if you have been coming to this platform, we always hammer it here that we do not need Western system of education. That's one of our problems. What we need is Africa-centric system of education. Education that is patterned according to what works for Africa. And that's why in our foundation, we make sure to say that what? We are not talking about classroom, sponsoring you to go and do this in classroom. We are sponsoring you in skills and crafts that can translate to commerce. And when we see specific areas of interest like medicine, like nursing, upholstery, mechanics, and the likes, coding and auto mechanics, coding and the likes, we invest in youth according to that, that are in that line, so that we can help bring this country out of the wood. In few weeks down the line, by February, Nigeria is going to be conducting election. Are we going to vote in the right set of people that are going to be thinking like the Zimbabweans? Because I want to believe it's not just the Zimbabwean president. I want to believe it's alongside the cabinet that said, you know what? You can't continue to come and be taking lithium from this place. We don't want you to take raw lithium. Process it here so that it has value, so that it generates income and it generates employment for our youth. And it improves the standard of living of our people. So that is the way to go. And sorry, sir, Mr. Femi,
Leadership, leadership and media literacy. That's very important. The media literacy is so important, and civic leadership that you're talking about too.
Good.
But not the Western kind.
Good. Lovely from you, Nubimi. Now, Mr. Femi Durojaye, I'm also putting you on the spot spotlight here because you are one of the most popular people in Nigeria. There is no way the history of Nollywood can be mentioned without referring to people like you. We also need you. Thank God that you're proving your wit. You've been supporting the foundation. We want you to also do more because we know how skillful you are in your storytelling, in your scripting, in your directing. You showed us here, and I tell you, some of those youths, a lot of those youths that attended the free training you gave us at the foundation, they kept on asking, when next are we going to have that kind of a session? Now, we want you to help us pattern something like
10
a
minutes,
story,
5 minutes,
a story line build up that we sell this idea of rebranding the minds of our African youth towards taking ownership, because 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, these are the youth that are going to be the local government chairman, the governor, the president in the making. So we also want you to see it as a challenge here. We want you to tell us something along that line.
Vision.
Yeah, we are going to be talking about some of
you
your
see, Dio.
Yes, sir.
You see, Dio, it is said that I think the price of democracy is eternal vigilance. You understand? Okay. The youth needs to be sensitized, okay, to keep their eyes and their ears open, to be vigilant concerning those that they voted into power. If you recall that there has been in this February election that is coming, it's more or less a youth election. You understand? The youths in Nigeria are already politically mobilized. You understand? Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, right? They are beginning to see. You see, when I started public awareness concerning politics, concerning political leadership, that we did a lot of adverts. You understand? To ensure that, to tell people, don't sell your vote, don't do this, get your PVC, go and vote. At a point, I was discouraged because I felt this youth that we are targeting, they are not responding. But the time came, it's not up to a year now, that they began to be a revolution by themselves. They are contributing money. They are organizing their own rallies, pick their own candidate. It has started. And I agree with you, Dayo, that we have to do more. We have to write stories, you understand, that shows that the participation of the youths in politics is for their own good and the good of their children's children. Is important. These stories are not difficult to write or difficult to tell. You understand? So it's something.
Wow. What does that mean?
Okay, so maybe that's a network glitch.
I think it's a network glitch from his side.
So the participation of youth with the right mindset, I think that's so key, because we've had some youth participated in politics that will not want to say that it was only toilets they were able to build.
Yeah, so you know why? Like I was saying, right?
Hello, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Sir, I said something. Sorry, sir. I said something where you were away that the youths with the right mindset, that we've had youths participated in politics, that all they were able to do was to build toilets, public toilets, and they were not able to bring anything as in innovation or creativity. Yes, sir.
That boy down.
Yeah, you see, there is time for everything. There is time for everything. They use themselves are evolving. You understand? I'm a father of children, and I see that, and I watch my children, 4 children grow up. You know, I love young people, maybe because they don't have all the information, they don't have the experience, you know, so they are easy to nurture, to nudge this way, to nudge that way, until they come to the understanding that we want them to come to. The youths of Nigeria, they are evolving. They have taken a very giant leap to say, hey, what's going on here? We want a better country. It wasn't like that 4 years ago. It wasn't like that 8 years ago. It wasn't like that 20 years ago. So the youths of Nigeria, they have evolved. Maybe the economic hardship had forced them to wake up and say, look, we can't continue this way. But I can tell you, the youth of Nigeria, at least a sizable portion of the youths of this country, they have woken up and they're asking questions. They see that this their future cannot go on like this. They have to make a change. If you look at the biggest section of the country, the biggest demographics of Nigeria, they are youths.
Yeah.
I, as a filmmaker, I write my stories targeting that demographics. So I know that the biggest demographics in Nigeria today are the youths. They are more in number than everybody else. So if they are sufficiently sensitized, they will change this country. They will change this country. So we must continue with that. We have left maybe the youthful age, like people like us. We must continue to support. We must continue to nudge them in the right direction. We know that they don't have all the information. Our responsibility, my responsibility, is to stand in the gap and show them the way and say, look, do this, do it like this. Why don't you consider this? No, in other places, this is what is done. Consider. So we must continue to nurture them as we nurture our children, our own children, until they get to the place a place of knowledge and understanding.
Thank you so very much.
What you were just saying in essence is mentorship. We call it mentorship, right? They need that mentorship because they cannot give what they don't have. And if they don't get it right now, they don't have that proper mentorship now. They will be in their 40, 50, and 60 in the local government, the governor, minister, and they will not be able to do anything because it's our responsibility, and that's what I was saying earlier, that changing Africa by changing us individually, by taking that responsibility of mentoring the youth that are going to be the leader tomorrow, and not just in taking part in politics, but in learning those skills, those valuable skills and crafts, those training. I mean, if somebody's in government for 8 years, that's more than enough year for somebody to learn how to be an auto mechanic, for someone to learn how to create parts for aircraft, for someone to learn how to make a solar system. You see what I'm saying? It didn't take me more than a few months to learn how to make a solar system when I was back there in Nigeria, that I was using in the hostel when I was in school. You know? So, but if we just depend on other people solving our problem for us, then that's where the problem lies. These youth need to be gainfully engaged on production of tangible and valuable crafts. And you'll be surprised. You know, there's a saying that whatever you put in the hands of the youth, right, they can bring unthinkable out of it. Imagine taking a youth that is like 15 years or even 10 years and teaching them how to produce or how to repair an aircraft and all of those, how to pieces a machine or an automobile engine, how to produce a car battery and stuff like that. By the time they are on that trade for 10, 20 years, you'll be surprised what they can make, what they will make. That's what the other part of the world are doing, that they are getting all those inventions and those technology that they are selling to the rest of the world, because they gainfully attract their youth, and while they are still youth, they begin to mentor them on certain area of production, of manufacturing, of politics. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Doctor, I want to say something. This will exemplify, because I live here, I'm aware of my country and the things that are going on. I want to use an example to show you what is the viscera of the problem. There is a state in Nigeria called Sokoto State. They have only one vocational educational center, just one in the whole of the state, just one. Do you know that that vocational center has been run down? This one that you are talking about, art and craft, it is not even funded. But at every Salah, at every Ramadan, the government of Sokoto State, I hope that everybody in the world is hearing this, because it breaks my heart. The government of Sokoto State spends several hundreds of millions of naira feeding during Ramadan. Money that should have been pumped to vocational center to get the youths to be productive are spent on religious matters. Useless, inconsequential, unproductive religious matter. So it still comes back to political leadership. If you get the political leadership right, I do not expect, for example, a Femi Falana, who becomes a governor of Sokoto State, to spend 300 million naira just feeding people at the end of Ramadan or during Ramadan. Femi Falana would rather spend that money in propping up the only vocational center in Sokoto State. So this shows you the amount of irresponsibility going on in the political leadership of Nigeria. You don't want us to point fingers, but we must let our children know, we must let the youths know that this is not the way to do things. Right. So until we begin to point out these things and demand for a change, it will not change.
Okay, sir. Thank you so very much, sir. I think what you've said, you're 100% correct. And the points from which Dr. Joe is also coming is 100% correct, because right on this channel, why we started this channel was just that we want to provide solutions, lasting solutions. Like now, we don't have anything to the government. We don't have anything to the government of Lagos State or Nasarawa or anywhere, although I served in Kaduna State in the Ministry of Economic Planning, and I did the CDS then. I empowered women in the production of soap, chemicals, and the village chief then. The women started making money and all the likes, and I was given an NYC award for that when I served. So that was what I could do then, and it was in me since 2008 or thereabouts. That was what I did. So that was what we carried into ourselves, into this, maybe our marriage and everything. That was why we started this foundation. We saw that if we leave all these youth to the streets, maybe one day, maybe Dr. Joe, anybody's coming back from the States, they are just going to lay ambush for them, or even you, sir, maybe you're going out in your car, they are going to lay ambush for you. And if the next door, just like in this estate where we've had youths complain bitterly that people are just there in their well-painted houses and they are neglecting them. That's how we go on the streets and we pick them. That's why we came up. Not that we have the money. There are times that even people that support this foundation, they don't even have rice to eat at home or Gary, but they go out of their ways. We just have a project now, Project 1,000, Project $1, whereby you just support the foundation monthly with a minimum of 1,000 naira or $1 to train a youth on a craft, and we're seeing tremendous results. Maybe you've not heard before. We've had some of our youths now. One of them, which she was an orphan, we picked her up, trained her in fashion designing. She's doing great, and right now she has traveled to Cameroon. She's trying to be a spokesperson, a person there, an ambassador there. We have another one that is doing bags in Edo State. We have one that we picked from Makoko Slum. He was just there for like 8-9 years, abandoned because he never had any money to be paid for his graduation. With the foundation paid, we bought him startup equipment. He started doing the works. He went for further training in Okoziris. Do you know that different countries are calling him now? He's been traveling to Ghana and all this. And that's why the core value of the foundation, our vision is what? Our vision statement is that to transform the lives of the neglected African youth from inherent dependency lifestyle to a new lifestyle of productivity empowered by integrity. And our mission, let me see our mission. So our mission is what? To search for the neglected, indigent, but diligent. In this course of carrying out this vision of us, We've seen different types of youth. We must be sincere in Africa. There are some indigent youth, but they are not diligent and they are not ready to be diligent. So you can't spend your resources on them. But there are some that are indigent and are diligent. So our mission is to search for the neglected, indigent but diligent African youth that are willing to be assisted to learn a craft or skill of their choice, and we then mentor them into high-level productivity for what? For the benefits of the African community. And the president of Ghana already said this during the program they had with US president. He said, what will grow the African continent is for the continent to invest in youth, invest in training the youth in crafts and in systems, in skills that will run modern economies. That he has just finished it. He said we have to train the youth on skills and crafts that we run modern economy, not just the classroom trainings. So, and that's what we are bent on doing at this foundation. And we have our core values. Our core values are, we have integrity, we have diligence, and we have what? Accountability, we have mutual respect, we have dependency, love for the community. So by the time, as you're training these youth on each of the craft, you're not just training them. Anyone we see that is not imbibing these virtues, these values, our values, we see our values are what? Integrity, accountability, diligence, mutual respect, dependability, and love for the community. So by the time you are able to possess these values and these core values, anywhere you get to in life, it's part of you. You're going to, because it's this youth that we're training now in the next decade, let's say in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years right now, they are going to be the ones leading. Look at some of them are already leaving us, going outside the country of Nigeria. Some will be going outside the continent. We've even helped some youths before we started our foundation. Like, it's something that is inborn in us. We called one the other day. It was in UK. We gave him a scholarship when we just got married, myself and my husband. So it's not something maybe we did just like a foundation. No. We've been doing it. It's part of us. So we gave him a scholarship when he was still far then. Now he's in the UK. So we sent the foundation stuff to him too. And there are others too that we've helped just like that. We even did a show to help the youth. So by the time we come up, the people will say, Ki Iruwa Ogiriwa. As in Yoruba people say that, like, you bring your own
one hand and
yes,
the other
like,
coming together.
Like Madam Claudia will say, what
one fill a basket.
One fill a basket. So as in by the time we started that way and we look away, because the problem of this political leadership, it's not what we can just solve now. And if we can't solve it and we just leave it, it's going to continue to the next decade, to the next 10, 20 years, and just like that. And we're still going to be there. But if we can start it now, I think we're going to be able to overcome that problem in the long run. We have a tribe of youth of integrity, of accountability, of those that will be able to say, no, you can't buy us over. But right now we don't have it, but we're going to have it. And that's what we're working towards. So that's why we do plead to those that are joining us on the live stream that you could please assist. You could just send the voice out. You could just send the mail out to anybody you know. If we can have 1,000 people help us with 1,000 naira, you see how much you are going to generate. So let's leave national government or whichever government, let them be eating their salary money, whatever money they want to eat. It's none of our business. But let's have people, even people that are just struggling, helping us with $1 with a month or 1,000 naira with a month, and you're seeing the lives of these youths that are being transformed. So if we can just spread the news, we're going to win in the end. And I think that's just it, sir.
Okay. I think that was
thank you very much.
And in the movie industry too, right? Because I've been in this business of helping these youth. What I started with is buying their product and bringing it over to the US and the likes to sell to people. But because the leaders and the rulers are not visionary and they don't know what the right thing to do, it's difficult. I can tell you now that there are some products, right? Some shirts, some jackets and stuff like that I bought from Nigeria for the past 2 years. Like a lot of money that has not gotten to me as I'm telling you right now. But I'm happy because the youth that made those products, they got their money, right, in dollars or whatever the form they got it, and they've used it to benefit themselves, to improve themselves. But it's a huge loss. Let's say I'm not gainfully employed and I'm waiting for those products to sell to make money. You can imagine how much loss I will have made, right? For the past 2 years.
Yes.
Why? Because instead of getting those aid, those money, they should be talking about partnership, trade partnership. How do you make it easy for the product that the jacket that is being made in Nigeria? How do you make it easy to be sold in America, in Walmart? How do you make it easy to be sold in Germany, in UK? How do you make the bag that is being made in Calabar, or where's that lady from? How do you make it possible for it to be easily sold in California without too much stress, with ease of shipping and all those logistics, right? That's what the leadership need to be thinking about instead of collecting money. Sometimes you don't need money, but you need a good, solid partnership agreement. That's what other nations are doing. That's making the life of their citizens better. You see what I'm saying? Because eventually when they give you that millions in aid, it's coming back to them. Because then the people that they expect the money to go to, it's not going to get to them. The people that are already rich will steal the money and they still use it to go and buy property in all these Western nations. So the money go back to them. So enough of that, but investing on things that make sense. Trade agreement, partnership, ease of shipping, things back and forth, from across the world, from Africa to the rest of the world. That's what the thinking should be. That's the mindset should be. So in the movie industry, we can write a script about that. You can help us write a script about that so that the youth knows, the leadership also can see that this actually the direction we should be looking, instead of just looking for somebody to give you $1 billion for aid and stuff like that. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't get to the youth. So that's kind of my own contribution. And that's why I love what Central Foundation is doing, because we are doing our own part as the foundation to pick them up from the street, train them on craft. And a lot of them are having great testimonies. Like I'm saying now, I have the lady that is selling that bag, that is making that bag in the village. I have American citizen children using those bags in California, in Chicago, a school bag that everybody's like, wow, this is a good bag. Where do you get it and stuff like that? They wouldn't know that it was made from the village. You see what I'm saying? So
yes,
we just need to empower those youth more. We just need more support. We just need to get the word out, and we just need to
exactly
focus in the right direction.
I agree. That's why I support Cetro. I support Dayo and his wife and the foundation. What they are doing is like what happened to Nollywood. Nollywood was not created. It's not a creation of the Nigerian state. It's a creation of individual enterprise. That is what Cetro is doing. They want to, what government ought to be doing, they have taken it upon themselves. They are standing in the gap and say, look, there's a gap here. There are people here that they can invest in and change their lives forever. You see, those who are walking aimlessly on the street, the youths that have no hope, that they are giving hope, they might turn out to be the scientists that will create a product that will shake the world. So that is why foundations like Cetro, they are very important. They are interventionists, and they are doing things that are great. And we should all give them the maximum support, because they are going right there to pick the people, the forgotten, the people that are forgotten, the people that are hopeless.
Right.
And they said something that was also important. People that are diligent. Indigents that are diligent. I work with some youths too, and I know firsthand that it's not all youths that are diligent.
Right.
So for them to have defined what they wanted, I think it's born out of experience. They have seen that investing in some people is of no use because they're not diligent. So I want to trust. I'm banking on their own experience that whatever it is they ask me to do, I'm sure it will be used maximally. That's what I've come to believe, because they themselves, they know what they are doing. They know what they are doing because they have had tremendous experience doing it. And I ask for everybody to support organizations like this and give them everything that they want. They know that I'm always at their beck and call to do my best for them. I have a special passion for young people, so we are in the same boat.
Thank you. I think that's good.
Okay, let me quickly chip in here. In case you are joining us or you are going to be seeing this live stream after now, the person talking is a very outstanding actor and movie producer, writer, director in Nigerian Nollywood, and he's been not even remotely. He came here all the way from his where we are living, where our
So
foundation
far
studio
apart.
is, and where he's coming from is so far apart. And somebody that doesn't have you in mind, we never think of driving down. He came here, spent time with our youth, trained them to the extent that one of the youth went to their church to go and give testimony of how our life was changed through the training. So you what's it called? You will discover this, that he's a movie writer. These are some of his movie. You can check out some of his movie. I think there is one, A Lucky Day. He has two set of movies that are new. I want everybody to check this out so that you really see the person we are talking about here. It's not just somebody from the kiosk. These are those that are among the functional movie writers, directors, and like this is the second movie, The Best Man for the Princess. This particular movie, I just said, let me just look at what he has done before sleeping. All I discovered was that I just continue watching the movie for a very long time. I said, my goodness. So this movie is very interesting. So looking at the way you script your movie, looking at the way you take your time to carve it out, to give it a kind of suspense, to bring in a lot of attractions, I will beg of you, it will be an honor if you can just dedicate. I know we've been taking too much from you, but we are like Oliver Twist. If you can dedicate like a 10-minute script, if you can develop like a 10-minute script for some of these our youth, especially some of these our youth that are interested in acting. I tell you, the day that some of them will act with you, they will cry, because the day you came here, they were speechless.
I
They were
can't
just
wait
like,
to be in one of your movies. I can't wait to be in one of your movies. I'm so honored. I'm like,
If you are going to make a movie for Central, I would like to be there too.
you know what's so blessed?
He has to be Central focused,
and
then I'll
I'm
be
sorry,
there.
Dale. I can't wait to be. I can't wait to be in one of your workshops. Most important, that would be.
whoa,
I look forward to coming to Nigeria. I'm
whoa.
so honored. I give thanks to the Most High that I didn't take a nap. That I was like on point. And what I also wanted to say is, the great thing that Cetros is doing is that it's also, my family's from Haiti, from Haiti, and we're the first generation Americans as well. So the Cetros Foundation allows us as the African diaspora to communicate, to come back in this perfect time.
Wow.
To the narrative.
I think there is a little glitch in network there.
Yes.
That's no being me, doctor. Why am I calling? Sir, I'm already giving a doctor already to Mr. Femi. That's no being me there. One of our very good sponsor, one of our supporter for this Cetros Foundation. She runs a foundation also in the state, in the United States, and she's always very interested in what happens here in Nigeria, especially with our youth in Cetros Foundation. She's grooming people there that are into dance, and some are also into acting, movie, and the likes. So I tell you, she's a good aunt that what she's saying, you might be surprised. She might just show up in Nigeria and attending any of your training and the likes. So, and I also want you to be looking at that aspect, because this your knowledge in movie script writing and the likes will love a situation whereby you can create like some courses. Are you with us, sir? Some training, movie
Yes.
training courses that you can arrange with Cetros Foundation on in that aspect. Movie training courses that can be sold out to non-Cetro members, but for the Cetros Foundation, you can either use it as a support for us or give us a very, very minutest discount. You understand? So such collaborations will help us. If you can do a movie that will involve our youth and the likes, do package a training that will help our youth to get better in storytelling and the likes, it will also help. Then maybe some organizations that are outside the continent like this can also benefit from such training, because and we want stories that we talk to power, stories that we talk about what is presently going on. Our youth need to see why they shouldn't. And what I'm saying now, sir, it will even not be out of focus if you can help us to develop like a 5 to 10 minutes script that can be done before this election, so that our youth can see the reason why they should not sell their votes. Because for Nigeria to be better, everybody must stand up and start doing things right. So
we don't even need much.
It doesn't need much. I know that. Let me quickly say this now. I know that when it comes to your movie production, you are what's it called? Your class of movie is the high caliber movie. No, the kind of movie we want you to do for us is the scripting might not even take us more than 1 location or 2 locations. Something that we drive home the point and we reduce the costs. Something that the cost will be minimal. You understand? Something that we might not even involve any cost. Maybe we will even shoot it everything in our studio here. You understand, sir? So we look for
I do.
Movies that
we look forward to something like that will help transform the arts of our African youth. Because I tell you, it's really impactful. If there is any industry now that is more visited, that is more patronized, I think is the entertainment industry. And once our
and what
youth,
they are watching is all these 10 minutes,
yes,
5 minutes, 10 minutes
yes,
movies that are
so
really moving.
So if that can be looked at, we'll really treasure it, sir. But I know that on a personal level, apart from this one that I'm asking you to do as a favor to the foundation, very, very soon, those youths that are interested in drama and movie, this thing, one of these days I'm going to show up in front of your house with all those youths. You will train us by force. Really appreciate it so very much.
Yeah, it's
my pleasure.
It's very, very important to pass that knowledge down, because
Yeah.
100 years from now you'll be gone. But do you want to be remembered? Then that's why we have to invest on the youth to pass that knowledge, so that they will be it will be better in their time more than it is now. So mentorship, mentorship and training, we have to be strategic about it.
It's key.
Yeah, I think it's key. So we have to look for the people that we are going to hand it to. Our parents, our ancestors, they didn't do some things right. Those power that they had, those spiritual power, those magical power, all of those that they had that they used, that they were able to secure their territory from thieves, from robbers, from, even the West could not mess with them at that time. They
gave it to Queen Elizabeth.
They didn't pass it down to us. They gave some of them cheaply to the West. They gave
Yes.
some of them as a
Yes.
dash, as a gift to the West that they are using against us.
Now, I think probably the first generation of those who were educated abroad undermined our traditional system.
Right.
Look, if you talk about those doctors who trained abroad, they will look at our herbs and condemn it. Now everybody has returned to herbs,
Exactly.
and by now a lot of those portions, a lot of those recipes, they are lost. But we thank God we still have some of them. You know, everything is not lost. We will continue to harp on educating our youth, because whether we like it or not, me and you, doctor, I don't think in the next 50 years we'll still be around. We might not be around.
I think
But these children are going to be around.
The change.
I do not think that in the next 50 years I'll be around. And it's just 50 years down the line. I won't be around. I don't think I will be around. Right? So it is imperative for me to hand to the next generation what I have.
Yes.
It's imperative. Because you are not going to the grave. We take nothing to the grave except those things that you have given away.
Right.
You know, so we must continue to give to those who are religious. The Bible says that we should not be tired in doing good.
Yes.
You know, these things are also, as much as they are physical, they are also spiritual. We must continue to invest in the next generation, because they are the ones that are going to inherit everything. Right. It's imperative. We don't even have a choice about it. It's the main reason why we even train our own children to take over from us. So we must train the next generation. We must give them an opportunity. Because if you don't, even before we die, they are going to be the ones making the decisions. Right. And we just be looking with our weak legs and see what they are doing. Because as we train them, that's how they are going to be. So it's imperative on us to help them, to push them, as you said, doctor, to mentor them, so that in our old age, we can relax and say, man, yes, these are my children that are brought up.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. You know, my mom is 90, about to be 96, living with me, going with me from America to Germany and the rest of it. She can't do anything. You know, she can't do anything again. Imagine if she hasn't invested. She probably will be in the village still, because some of our mates are still in the village. Some of them have died long time ago. So it's for our own benefit when we rescue these youth and give them proper mentorship and package those knowledge in such a way that we can hand it to them in such a way that they can preserve it, knowing the worth of it, and use it well to better the society. And that's how we can make the world a better place, you know. So
correct, doctor.
I agree with you. I agree with you, sir.
I would like to say at this point that
today
has been a very interesting time out, and I quickly want to read some comments because I want to also expose one person here, Mr. Femi. If you look at your screen now, you see somebody that is talking here. I'm sure you know the person. I'm not saying too much.
No, he doesn't.
Okay, that's Madam Olaomi there. True, we need to be intentional about strategic growth and development of the African youth because they are tomorrow. You know that person that is talking there, Mr. Femi?
I cannot see the person. The screen is dark. I can only see you and your wife. I can see doctor and then myself. I can't see any other person on the screen.
The person I'm reading comment here, a chat here, is your classmate that we call Grandma Sweet 16. That your classmate, that your hot babe that introduced you to us.
Who did you say?
Austria. Your classmate from Austria.
Oh, Yejide! Yejide!
Okay, so let's go to the next comment. Claudia Emmanuel says, thanks so much, Mr. Femi, for strengthening and supporting the Cetros Foundation. You are forever blessed. That's Madam Claudia from the Caribbean island. Yeah, from the Caribbean island, Virgin Island. Okay. Then we have which other person? Sorry, I need to just go through this. We have Hope and Perils says China is communism. Okay. Then we have okay, Madam Alam is saying, thank you, Dr. Ojo. You can't give what you don't have. A radical mindset change shall turn things around 360 degree. Okay, we have a whole lot. Jim Barak, we don't know why Jim Barak was not on today. Maybe he's on sabbatical leave. Of course, USA preferred not to deal with Africa purely because it has been carved up by the European countries and they are allied. Okay, we have okay, Yosan. We have a very interesting person here. Yosan Tafari says, Jim, what is happening? Africa grow cocoa. Cocoa is shipped out to make chocolate, and then Africa imports the chocolate products. Why not have the chocolate factories in Africa too? So
Correct.
that's
true.
Yozan Tafari talking there. Then we have this guy, this is our friend here, Mia Beren says, at Jim Barak, the point is not to compete with China. Africa has what China does not have or has not. A huge country. China is polluted and bad handled. It produces heaps of cheap crap. One of the cheap crap from China was a water bottle that got broken in my house today. That was just used for the first time.
Yeah, I still give China credit though, because by now Nigeria
Yes.
should be making their water bottle.
Exactly.
Correct, doctor. Correct.
So
Correct.
it's not difficult to do all
The
this.
bottles will continue to break for so long as it continue to import from China. Make your own bottles here in Nigeria. We have the glass, we have the sand, we have everything to create it. Everything is here. It will continue to break, so long as you buy from China.
Mr. Femi, we are going to be shocked because our foundation is producing a young lady that is into bags, and her bags very soon will be competing with that of Louis Vuitton. She's producing.
That's great. That's what we want to hear.
She's producing those bags right from the village, and we got her the phone on which she trained herself, their phone, on how to make that class of bags.
It's inbuilt in her. It's a talent.
Is inbuilt. We've got her the phone to upscale her training, and she's doing wonderfully well. One of these days, we are going to bring her to the township where she can be able to sell those bags in large quantity. Okay, so Mia Barrett says your country is one of the most beautiful one in the world. Africa is rich in history, natural resources, beauty, animals, and I could go on. It's time to wake up. So with all these beautiful comments, those that have not had not have the opportunity to read, we have Nancy Petty here, say awesome. Those that are not able to read your comments, I say apologies to that. And I will want us to give our closing remarks. Don't forget, the discussion today was wonderful. What we are talking about is the fact that for Zimbabwe to wake up suddenly, just like Ghana woke up, to say, no, we are not selling our cocoa as raw materials. The same way Zimbabwe is coming up to say, the lithium, we are not going to be selling it in its raw form. Come over here, set up, and improve on the quality of those raw resources. We look forward to a point in time where Nigeria will be able to say, you know what, I'm the giant of Africa. And as such, oil, we cannot be getting oil here and it's processed somewhere around us and brought back at expensive amount, and we are now paying subsidy. That is how a madman operates. So I look forward whereby Nigeria will get back its sanity and we begin to think right, and we begin to think about the future, just like Dubai, that is always thinking about the future. So amp me. Maybe me, over to you.
I hope that you can hear me. I thank the Most High that I'm able to just be in a listening ear. I can't wait to rehear this. But so many jewels, and I just look forward to helping, collaborating. I just feel so honored
Wow.
to be here. The storytelling, and again, there are other people from the diaspora who we definitely will connect you to, who are in England, Jamaican people, Haitian people, Caribbean people, ones who need to reconnect back at home. And I'm excited that the youth, they're ready. And you guys are preparing them because they are the ambassadors to even bring us back home, to usher us back home. So
Whoa.
thank you. Thank you, all the teachers. Thank you, Professor. I'm going to call you Professor Media. Nollywood all the way. God would have it. I look for it. So many good stories in the Bible and other books too, like the Apocrypha books, the Ethiopian Apocrypha books, like y'all said, that our stories was given over to the West, and we need to retrieve those again and rebuild. Thank you. I feel so honored. Bless you. Bless you. I can't wait to meet you.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you so very
Lovely.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
Nubimi,
you.
for that beautiful closing remarks. And we really appreciate you. We love you. We saw how you have been showcasing our work across the globe, across America. We are really, really very grateful.
Oh,
So,
and I give thanks. That was my brother. That's my little
uh,
brother's soundtrack. So he
wow,
does the remix. It's some friends
wow,
of his, Haitian musician, and my brother made their soundtrack. So if you ever need a soundtrack, we got you here.
whoa, that's great. That's great.
That's great. That's great.
Okay.
His name is Haiti Benefits. That's my little brother.
Wow.
IET Benefits. That's what they
Whoa.
call, because everything he does is to help youth in Haiti.
Wow.
IET. So we're all together. Thank you.
Wow. 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 That's
Thank you
great.
so very much.
We look forward to one of these days having him online with us. Okay. So, um, Mr. Duro, Mr. Femi, over to you. Your closing
Yes.
remarks. Sir.
Well, I just want to say that I want to thank you for the opportunity of this engagement, and I want to continue to encourage you to do what you are still doing, and I will continue to give all the support that is within my competencies to ensure that you meet your set objectives. Thank you very
Wow.
much.
Thank
Wow.
you so very much, sir.
Did you guys notice something while he was talking? You can see like the pen of a movie writer. He was just scripting out the lyrics of the movie, like dotting the i's, putting the commas, and telling the stories how it should be told. I think I'm trying, sir. I'm sounding like a so
We're
that's
sounding like big
Yeah, good.
fans. He obviously
whoa,
saw your video. He's like, oh, so starstruck. But I give thanks, man. The media literacy. Whoosh.
whoa.
I feel so honored. Again, I'm also like, whoa. I cannot wait um to enjoy your film, your art,
Whoa.
and get some, you know, the island that I come from, the film was a very big thing in the 1960s before a lot of the regime, the Haitian regime. So just the revitalization and you being here. Thank you, Cetros Foundation. We're gonna
Wow.
connect more. There's
Wow.
a young man I want anyway, a young man from Ghana who I definitely want him to reach out to you too. Papa Wastik, who's a reggae musician. So we got more music. We got scores for
Whoa.
you,
Whoa.
family. So you need
Whoa.
some reggae? We got you.
Wow, that's great. And Nubimi, heads up for you. This year is going to be a lot of collaborations with our youth and your youth over there. They really need to sing because your foundation and our foundation need to really break the boundaries of space, time, and space. they really need to meet with each other, and we appreciate you
Hallelujah.
because you are opening up the boundaries for us. And as
God,
for
God is
yeah,
so good to all of us. I feel so humbled to be a servant. I feel so honored to be serving at this time. I just
wow,
want everyone knows, like the professor, Dr. Ojo. I'm calling you professor, but people here in America, they are getting ready and they want to come back home.
hmm,
The Christian church, the African Hebrews are knowing that the Bible comes from home. So
hmm,
we need you. We need this foundation and other ones to replicate and collaborate. Thank
wow,
you.
wow. Thank you so very
Thank you
much.
so very much, ma'am.
So please, for everyone
Thank
that
you.
are going to see this live stream, the link to the two latest film by Mr. Femi Durojaye.
Professor.
I'm already posting his films here. Sorry, I've been corrected by Nubini. On the order that has been given me in this foundation, we now confine as a professor.
Professor.
So, Professor Femi Durojaye.
Prof.
Professor things.
So by that honorary degree you just had now, that means you have to do more research on the youth. And train them more. It's not just
Lots of research.
it's a title with a heavy responsibility. More.
Yes.
It is so.
But congratulations to you, Professor.
So,
Professor.
honorary degree from 80 and America.
Honorary professor.
Foundation. Professor, for you to see Professor Femi's two latest films, just make sure you grab a bottle of soda and popcorn.
Soda.
Yes, now soda is Coke. They call it. Sorry, my wife has not traveled.
Pops.
Soda in the East Coast. It's soda in the East. In the West, it's pop.
Yeah, it's called soda.
Yes, it's called soda. You understand? Because I travel out in my dream. So,
it's soda in the East Coast and pop in the West Coast, okay?
please
Not
help
caustic
me to
soda.
educate her. She has not traveled out more than Dubai, but people like Paul that traveled, have been to America, have been to UK in my dream, only for me to wake up and discover that I'm beside her. so the stuff is this. He just released two powerful movies, and those movies are very interesting. The choice, sometimes you amaze me with your choice of location and the likes, and they are wonderful. At the end of this live stream, apart from it being displayed here, I'm displaying the two. One of them is A Lucky Day. The second one is The Best Man for Princess. This Best Man for Princess, I was just engulfed. My wife said, I thought you said you want to go and sleep. I said, I'm coming. That was how I was watching the movie. So please kindly go through his movie, because if you are doing that, you are only supporting the Cetros Foundation, because these are the people that invest time and energy on our foundation to get it to where it is now. Kindly watch, don't watch alone, share it to your friends, your church members, your enemy, even Satan if he has an iPhone, share it with him. Let them watch and let them like, click, and also share. So we have these two movies here as I'm displaying it here. Then on the description box, I'm going to leave the link to the two movies there. Don't just watch alone, share with people, let them watch, let them see what he is doing, because he is helping the African youth a lot, and is also going to be supporting us in so many movies. Some of his training is what we have adopted that allowed us to shoot. I'm sure he has not seen some of the movies that we shot after his training. I'm going to probably send the links to him. Through his guidance and his supervision, we're able to shoot like 3 short movies in a better way, in a better story telling format. And it will shock him to see that his labor in this foundation is not wasted. So we really appreciate you, sir. Now
And may I say something real quick too? What's so important, and as the youth listen in, it's the wonderful production, the pre-production and the post-production, and the teamwork and the family. That's the whole wonderful process that I love about film, And that's what, for ones who are listening, it's a whole process. You're building a baby together, but the pre-production, the writing, the team, it's a whole village. We need a wardrobe. So even if you're not like an actor, there's so much more important work in the background. We need engineers, lighting people, cooks, craft people, carpenters.
Correct.
Like, it's a whole village. We're not just looking for the actors who want to be in the front, because the most important people, believe it or not, it's the people in the back that's making this beautiful production, and the people who thought about it a year, 10 years before, and they sat in the room pre-production before the lights, camera, and action. So, and then the post-production is a whole nother thing. So there's room for everybody in this media industry. It's a whole beautiful, ecosystem in itself. Thank you. And Professor Femi, one of the things I didn't like about the Western system, when you're on set, there's so much waste, water bottle waste, food waste, so that's one thing I know that y'all are incorporating the ecological the importance of the ecological area too. I think that Professor Femi knows what I'm talking about on Western sets, and the bottles, the water bottles, the waste, sometimes gas that's not necessary, that's running, when it, light, anyways, it's beautiful, but it's also a beautiful experiment in diplomacy and working together, and everybody has their parts. So you don't need to be in the front. We need a lot of people in the back.
Correct.
Sorry about that. Let me just tell you this. I really thought, just at this last end, it's not just about telling the story of how Professor Femi Durujaye has affected our what's it called, our foundation in terms of story writing and scripting and presentation through the last training he gave to us. I tell you that it will be very, very important if he can set up this training course that people that are outside the foundation can pay to join the workshop. I tell you, it will be very, very fun-loving. But I just want to show you one of the outcome of the training that he gave to us. I'm sure he's going to be shocked seeing this. This was shot by our YouTube. Our youth at the foundation. This all the technicalities, everything was shot. Sound, camera, lighting, everything was by the youth in this foundation after his training. And we went to another school to develop, because he trained us to train. It's like a train the trainer. Just have a look at what the outcome of one of his training is.
Let the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety filling up every space, no privacy, and silently it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over.
Natasha dear, how are you?
I'm fine.
How was your suspension? It was not that bad.
It was very, very bad.
Aww.
But my parents made me so excited for me.
How?
I got a PS5, a new Xbox, laptop, iPhone 13, and other, new gadgets in town.
Wait. You mean you went on suspension? Yeah. And your parents got you a PlayStation, Xbox, laptop, and a new phone.
Yes.
Are you sure your parents will not believe this that time?
What do you mean?
It's kind of reflecting. Because it's reflecting on you. How can they get you an Xbox during your suspension?
Anyways,
no offense.
That's not what we called it.
But that's not what we called you.
Okay.
So we had this new girl in school, Her name is Nestle or whatever. I don't want to know. This is where she was walking in the corridor.
And she's with me today. And she's in our class.
She hasn't seen me. That's why we're
Of
going to have
course
to
now.
mess her up and deal with her as a newbie. She's come. She's come. Anyway, we're saying so.
I've had a
Natasha Namara Smith.
So, are you talking?
Right? Age 14.
Oh my
Born
God, we have
December
to listen.
2008. Has two brothers, Ted and Tani, age 11 and 9 respectively.
We just not listen.
Dad's profession, a common branch manager of Sterling Bank, Makoko Riverside. Shut up. Yes! Mom's profession, a clothes dealer, always traveling around with her husband's stolen money, gossiping about people with her lousy mouth. Yes! And she consider giving a mom a gossip certificate to add to her CV. Well, what should I say? Nice to meet you, trying Miss Namara Omo.
Sucks! I've had enough!
Hi, I'm so glad to meet you, the new kid on the block. I'm Carrie's Viking. So, may I have a name to this beautiful and intelligent brain like you? Because I've never imagined in my entire life that someone in Zen Plus Standard School will stand up to the bully and give her a download of her life history. You've done such an amazing thing. So, may I have your name?
Actually, you go first. I like to hang out with you guys.
I'm so glad to meet you, Nestle.
I'm so glad to have a better action to Zen Blaster School.
Yes.
I'm Kendra Pedro and would love to be your friend.
Oh.
Wait, who's are you in this class? Don't mind you, sir. My dad is going to be instead of money. He's a bondage man. He don't want to hear money. Someone is showing me. You don't forget to.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, Mrs. May.
Good morning. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, and you?
Okay, sit down. I want the definition.
Okay. You know what?
You know so much about.
I just want to fast forward it because of time. The link
Yes.
to the main video will be
No spoiler alert.
but this particular I want
Spoilers.
to I want you to see this cut section.
Nestle Rose. The little girl who seems to know everything, both in the open and in the secret. Now, can you tell this honorable court of how come you know so much about my client, ranging from where she lives to her brother's age and names and her father's occupation? My lord, she even called my client's dad a thief and called her mom a pop noser. Now, can you tell me how come you know so much about my clients? Are you a witch?
Objection, my lord. Objection sustained. My lord, it is possible that my client Nestle made some research about Mrs. Natasha Smith here. Mrs. Natasha Smith is a teenager, so of course she might have posted her father's occupation, her address, her two brothers.
Okay, that's where I'm going to stop it.
That's brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. They're so natural. Oh,
I'm sure
Fantastic.
even
Fantastic.
Professor Femi doesn't know
Professor of Central.
how much impact his training has been. And let me tell you,
Great angles. Great angles.
Youths, two of our youths that handle the camera to cover this, and with the minimal resources, the audio was taken with a phone. We just managed everything that we could manage there. And I tell you, because even the students in that particular school, once it's time that we should come over, they are looking for us to settle foundation coming over there because we were volunteering for that school. Thanks to God and thanks to you, sir. We really appreciate you. And that is to say, I know that as a professor, you'll be looking at different areas that we need to amend. It needs to correct. Also, in our subsequent invite, we'll jot down where we need to make amendments. And
Your wife is laughing.
I think it was great for the start, man. For the little, they did a great job. The angle, the story,
Yes.
just a little bit. My only input: don't look at the camera. I said, okay. When I'm over there, I'm be like, stop looking at the camera. But no,
Wow.
They just did well, these
they
children.
get a little nervous. Sometimes it's hard to not look at the camera, but you need a big head like me to distract them. Look at this big head. Look at all those dreadlocks. Look at the dreadlocks. You know what I'm saying? But they did a wonderful job. So natural.
Wow.
Every single one of them were so perfect.
Wow.
The angles were phenomenal. I loved it.
Wow.
So natural.
We really appreciate God, and we appreciate good people like Professor Femi Drojaye that has come to the foundation to help build something in our youth that is transforming their life. So for you to see a more professional work, please go on to his own video that I'm showing the link here, and I will also drop the link in the description box so that you can click and watch it. Get your popcorn by one side, get a cup of coffee, probably cappuccino. I'm sure my wife will not know what a cappuccino is. Cappuccino is one of those drinks that I drank when I was in Ijebu State. That's the state that is very close to Florida. To summarize our discussion this night, the person that is going to be giving us the closing remark is one other doctor moving fastly towards professorship, and his mentorship is out of this world. That is Dr. Oloye Ajagun. He's a military man, no? Professor Femi.
He's a U.S. military.
He's a U.S. military. He's a U.S. military
Wow.
man. And also a doctor of business administration. In case you have anything that has to do with business, consultancy, and the likes, you reach out to him. He will make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's. He will revamp whatever business that you want him to revamp. He has been anointed and created for this, all the way from Nigeria, package and deliver to the US economy. We have no other person than Dr. Ojo. Over to you, sir. Your closing remarks.
Thank you. I'm humbled and I'm happy. Yeah, like I said earlier on, it's just a privilege that we are here. And we've been blessed, whether we like it or not, by God, by the universe, or whatever you know that is a higher power that has blessed you. And we just have to appreciate that individually. And like I've always said, if you have a little bit excess or more that is needed for your day-to-day sustenance, is for a reason. It's because there is somebody next door. There are some of the youth on the street that God wants you to touch their life. That's why you have excess. So instead of banking it up, instead of storing it up, instead of putting it under the carpet, putting it inside in the house, locking it up, like all the experiences that we are hearing about, which does not make sense, we can invest it on those neglected poor African youth to make their life better. Thereby, we are contributing to community development, making the world a better place. So Central Foundation is doing a good job. And like Christ said, if he be lifted up, he's going to draw all men to himself. So if we all join hands together and lift up Central Foundation, we are rest assured they're going to draw a lot of other people up from the slum, from shanty, from the street. And that's just my closing remark for tonight. I want to thank all the supporters. I want to thank Professor Femi, honorary professor of the movie making industry. And yeah, thank you so much, sir. And thanks to the Central, thanks to everybody that's going to watch this. But don't forget, remember, there are some people that need your help. Support Central Foundation, and we together make the world a better place. Thank you so much.
Okay. So thank you so very much. We really appreciate everyone on behalf of the Cetrus Foundation and the youth that you have been joining us to transform their life. We want to say thank you so very much. We are so grateful. We are so happy, and the testimonies are coming in. Check on our channel because we have just dropped 2 new testimonies, and we are also proud to tell you that during the last annual youth conference, we were also able to mentor a very beautiful but indigent African girl that was almost being introduced into prostitution. But with the intervention of God and the foundation, she's now learning fashion, and she's calling for help for us to help sponsor her training in fashion. And we've also promised that all she just needs to do is to get serious at it. We are going to buy her a startup machine, and we are so grateful because people like you are helping us to transform lives. Don't forget, every Sunday between 9:30 and 10 p.m., we come up on our live stream and we discuss topical issues that relate to what is happening around the globe, especially relating to Africa, and we now dovetail it towards our youth development strategy, because that is the way we can make the world a better place. From myself and my beautiful wife that is always making me to trip for only one person every now and then, I want to say thank you, because I want to hug her seriously like Transformer and Wire. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Professor.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.